Hey guys, Toast here. Are you a console gamer that wants to get into PC gaming but aren't quite sure where to start? Well then this guide was made with you in mind. Now I was an avid console player for the vast majority of my gaming life. I began on consoles early in life at the age of 4 with the NES, and have purchased at least one console in every generation up to the PlayStation 4. I had dabbled in PC gaming with my college laptop a bit, but suffice to say that didn't really provide any optimal gaming experience in any capacity. Last year I made the switch to PC gaming and have absolutely loved it, but there is certainly some information that I wish I had had when I was looking to make the switch, or even before that point, that would have helped me make the switch earlier. This guide is designed with those console gamers in mind who may have an interest in PC gaming but aren't quite sure how to go about getting into it. Now I'd like to mention that I play on both console and PC, and there's absolutely benefits to both, so please don't take this guide as a PC master race rant, it's purely to help those interested. Let's begin with some of the pros that you'll encounter with PC gaming over console gaming. First off, you have a massive variety of games available from development studios of all sizes, and many of these games are not available on consoles at all. There's no set resolution or frame rates for the vast majority of games, and the clarity of the image and the fluidity of the frames per second are almost entirely dependent on the system that you have, meaning that you can maximize your experience for what suits your preferences. You can upgrade your experience at any time given you're willing to spend some money to improve the quality of your gameplay. You can often find great sales or discounts on games that you're interested in from a variety of different locations, and a final but certainly important pro are mods. You can mod many games, and mods don't need to be approved before being available, meaning that you can quickly have access to hundreds if not thousands of ways to alter the gameplay experience. With those nice pros, there also come a few cons that should be mentioned that need to be taken into consideration. The first is upfront costs. If you're going to be purchasing a new PC that's specifically for gaming, you're likely going to need to put up a moderate to large chunk of change for your initial system and peripherals. Not only will you need to purchase the PC itself, but you'll also want to get a decent keyboard, mouse, and monitor, and possibly a headset as well, as not all console headsets work with PC. You'll need to micromanage your software and hardware far more than you would with a console. Drivers need to be updated, and firmware on some of your hardware will need updating as well. You'll need a somewhat solid understanding of how to do these things in order for your PC to run optimally. Games may not automatically work with your hardware. Many games should at the very least run, however you need to look into the required and recommended specifications for each game to make sure that your hardware is at the very least matching, if not exceeding, what's required. Games unfortunately may not always just work like they do on console. So you've decided that the pros outweigh the cons, and you want to move forward into the wonderful world of PC gaming. Where do you start? Well, the first things first, let's figure out what your budget is. Set yourself a monetary amount that you are going to stay within, and do not let yourself go outside of that budget. Once you've gone over your budget even by a little, there's nothing stopping you from continuing to go over. Believe me, I've been there. Once your budget is set, it's time to make a big and crucial decision. Do you want to purchase a pre-made PC or build one of your own? Now there are reasons to do each of these, so it's a decision that you'll want to take some time to decide. If you purchase a pre-made, you don't have to do any of the legwork on research and sourcing parts, and the PC will come all set and should work right out of the box. The downside to this is that pre-made PCs often come with bloated software that you don't necessarily need, and you're also paying the labor and marketing costs for the company that assembled the PC. If you build your own, you'll want to ensure that you do quite a bit of research into the parts that you want, ensuring their compatibility, power requirements, and reliability. That said, you can save a fair amount of money by doing the legwork and customizing the PC to be exactly what you want to suit your needs. PCs really aren't that difficult to build, and you can find plenty of detailed tutorials online of how to do so. If you're willing to put in the time, I do recommend building your own, however the choice is ultimately up to you. Once you have the base machine taken care of, you're going to want to focus on your monitor, mouse, and keyboard. For your monitor, you're going to want to consider what graphics card you have in your system. For instance, you wouldn't want to purchase a 4K monitor if you're running a GTX 960, as that card on its own isn't capable of running the vast majority of games at that resolution at an acceptable frame rate. Conversely, you wouldn't want to get a 60Hz 1080p monitor if you're running two GTX 980 Ti's and SLI, as you would be heavily underutilizing some pretty expensive graphics cards. The things to take into consideration for your monitor are resolution, refresh rate, and response time. Most modern monitors have extremely quick response times, so you shouldn't need to focus too heavily on that. Instead, you'll want to focus on the other two factors. For me, I prefer refresh rate over resolution and would rather have a game running at 1080p and 144Hz and run super smoothly than a game running at 4K and 30 frames per second, but again, this is entirely up to personal preference. For keyboards, if it's within your budget, I do recommend springing for a mechanical keyboard if possible. The tactility offered by them not only feels great on a daily use basis, but due to the nature of the mechanisms within these keyboards, your likelihood of pressing keys that you don't want to is also very slim, allowing for greater precision. Corsair and Logitech both have some great options worth looking into, and there's certainly other brands to choose from as well. For your mouse, you'll want to take into consideration what types of games you play most frequently, as that should have an impact on what style of mouse you purchase. If you play a lot of first-person shooters, you may want to look into something with a somewhat minimalist design that has enough buttons for some added functionality, and perhaps a customizable weight system so that you can fine-tune it to your liking. If you happen to play MMOs or MOBAs a lot, you may want to look into a mouse that has a lot of extra buttons for your abilities and macros. There's a ton of mice out there to choose from, so look around and see what will best fit you. Once your PC is set up and running, you'll want to ensure that you have the latest drivers installed for all of your components, as that's going to help your PC run games at their optimal performance. You'll also want to install either NVIDIA or AMD's proprietary software for your particular brand of GPU, so that you can easily update their drivers and make tweaks to settings on a global basis. Now that your drivers and updates are all set, it's time to download the essential gaming software that you're going to want to get started with. Unlike consoles where all of your games are essentially launched from a home screen regardless of whether or not the game is disc-based, PC has a number of different launchers from separate publishers for many of their games. The most popular and most prominent of these platforms is Steam. As many of you are aware, Steam is Valve's proprietary software that's used to license and distribute games, as well as a social platform allowing online interconnectivity between Steam members. The Steam library is massive, and the vast majority of popular games, as well as a huge variety of small indie games, are available through this platform. That said, there are other publishers that have their own platforms for their games. EA, for example, has Origins, which you'll need to download in order to play their published games like Battlefield or Battlefront. Epic also has their own launcher, so games like Paragon or Unreal Tournament will need to be launched through there. Start with Steam, and if you find that there are games that you want to play that aren't on Steam, well, you can always download the other launchers needed to play those games that you do want. The final thing you're going to want to do before you can start playing all of your games on your new PC is that you'll want to ensure that your game settings are appropriate for the hardware you have and the desired performance you're looking for. Console games have very little in the way of graphical settings, where on PC you have a ton of settings from texture quality, ambient occlusion, tessellation, and depth of field, to anti-aliasing, VSync, shadow quality, and view distance. It isn't a bad idea to take a little time to read up on these different types of settings available commonly between games, and what types of performance impact they tend to have, as this will help you better understand where you should set your settings to best fit your desired results. If you don't want to read up on it, trial and error is always an option, but do note that some settings require the game to be restarted, so it can end up being more time-consuming testing over and over than you might like. From there, the PC gaming world is at your fingertips. Enjoy the benefits of Steam sales for cheap games, humble bundles for groups of games at a great price and for a great cause, gray market sellers like G2A and Kinguin should you wish to take part in that, but beware, there is a lot of controversy surrounding gray market sellers, and all of the other benefits that one can receive from PC gaming that may not be available on the console platforms. But that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this video was helpful to those of you looking to break into this particular form of gaming, and if so, let me know in the comments why you want to move over to PCs for gaming. If you liked the video, please leave a like, and if you want to see more content, please subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Toast, and I'll talk to you soon.